members of the public wish to speak?
Peter Cataret, 150 North Congress. I appreciate the comments about the incrementalism. The first time I had heard of this proposal also was just before the last meeting, and we got a lot of small snippets of information, which is one of the reasons why that creates a lot of doubt in my mind. A lot of my concerns involving the school district in law enforcement are more philosophical than technical. And because we haven't heard a complete proposal of how it's going to work and all of the details, it creates doubts in my mind that this is probably something that we don't want to do. I can tell you right now that anything Council Rock does is going to cost a lot of money. Regardless of what the chief told you, I would say count on an extra $100,000. Because if they're going to be involved in law enforcement, police work, serving our cameras, they're going to need a PhD professional to access this, to do anything to serve the police department. That's just my opinion. Okay. I imagine if we're trying to pull images from this system to investigate a potential crime, someone with the technical savvy to do that would probably be with the school district. And I think someone who's with the school district would have a little bit of resistance of getting involved and potentially suspecting someone of behavior or identifying them for the police department. These are just some of the kinds of concerns I have that I think the incrementalism and the lack of details that we have thus far are bringing up. Maybe none of these are valid, maybe none of these will happen, but we don't know this yet. I'm still in the, do we even like this from a philosophical standpoint, much less are we going to vote on it? And that's all I have to say right now.
Bill Heineman, 35 North Chancellor. Picking up on that, a question I've had since the October meeting has to do with the storage of the images, the video. And I assume that at some point, if they need to be retrieved because of a crime or a problem, that becomes evidence. And I wonder about the chain of custody that's required for the evidence to be admissible. My limited understanding is that there needs to be established a chain of custody so that you can trace very specifically where the evidence was through a period of time and under whose control, and what kind of training and expertise is required by the people who are maintaining the evidence. In this case, it's the Council Rock School District IT department. I wonder if they need special training or special certification or anything so that that can be admissible evidence and that that chain of custody can be established. Dennis, I heard you say that Matt Fredrickson is the only person to go in the server room. I submit that's not true. He has an entire IT staff, and the IT staff, there are a number of people who go in the server room and they manage the servers all the time. And so as much as I think Matt Fredrickson has a process in place for managing these things, I suggest that actually a number of people have access to the servers and therefore the data that's on it. So that's a question, is in the end, if we're really relying on this as evidence, can we do that? Have we established that chain of custody in a way that we're sure? And that gets back to the policy question. It's one of many questions that I haven't heard answered. And then just one other bit of confusion earlier this evening. Rand, I thought I heard you say that the Borough Police Department would be able to monitor cameras in any of the district's schools. Did I mishear that?
My understanding is if there is an emergency and they are called to respond to Council Rock North, let's say, that they would be able somehow to access the video cameras in that building.
Okay.
But they don't have access to it on a daily basis when,
okay.
In other words, if there's no emergency, they just can't decide, well, let's take a look and see what's going on at Council Rock North. No.
That may be good, that may be, may be appropriate. That's new tonight. That's not in the chief's proposal. That was not in the October meeting. That was not in the March presentation that he gave. That piece, now you could consider it to be central or important or not. Maybe you consider it a detail, but it's new.
Well, it was described, when I heard it, was at the meeting on the 17th, and it was described by the chief as part of the software that would enable the the monitor at the police department and the monitors in the patrol cars to access whatever cameras we chose on our territory, so to speak, on our real estate
Right.
to access. So for instance, if the cameras at Borough Hall are tied into the system, then they can access that camera if they need to.
Got that, but if there's a camera at Goodnoe School or Council Rock North,
Council Rock system is what enables them to do that.
okay. I guess it reinforces the point that there's still a fair amount of new information discovery, at least on my part. I heard what you just said, sure, but to expand that to the whole district and that the Borough Police might be called upon to respond via video alert to an emergency at any one of the schools, it's just new information to me, and I think to others. So in any case, I join those who are saying that there's really a lot more information to be understood and documented before I suggest that you would approve this, particularly for those things I just mentioned. Thanks.
Joe Slurk, Norwood Avenue. I have to ask the fundamental question. You voted to buy a bunch of cameras, and it sounds like you're not going to vote for the software or the ability to use them. So I would hope that you don't buy the cameras.
Could I possibly answer one question before the next speaker? The first gentleman that spoke talked about the cost of this. I know this is dragging on, but there's a company called Synesis who does this, integrates these systems, and they have offered their services at no cost to integrate us into Council Rock's system. We could do this on our own, but it would require an enormous amount of server space, and it could be done in-house, but it would be cost prohibitive. Therefore, Council Rock and Mark Klein and Matt Frederickson volunteered the use of the school's system, which is already in place.
I was going to make the point. My name is Jennifer Catterett. I work in IT. Virtual private networks are hackable. There is absolutely no way. Yes, the server room may be secure that Mr. Frederickson is in charge of, but I can assure you, somebody with the skills and a computer, if it's being directed over Wi-Fi to the police cars or to the police department, they want to get in, they want to watch the feeds, they can, and they will. And that is just not okay with me.
Diane Labar, Penn Street. I think there's some very strange jurisdictional issues involved. The school district ultimately is under the jurisdiction of the Secretary of Education, and our police are under your jurisdiction. So if there were problems, as Jennifer mentioned, they're very strange jurisdictional issues, and I don't know the answers to who would be in charge. Thanks.
Finish the comments I started before about possible lawsuits. If I lived in Newtown and Council Rock was helping Northampton at the Alms House Road intersection with the clock, I'd kind of be offended that they were using part of my tax base to fund a police surveillance or safety surveillance program in someone else's town. And I imagine that this is going to make good cannon fodder for a lot of lawyers down the road. This is another point. And like I said, the philosophical problems that a lot of us have with getting the school system involved in law enforcement and the concept of cameras in public spaces in the beginning, I think need to be addressed to see if we want a camera system and then decide on what kind of camera system we would want. It seems we've gone the other way where we said, here's the system, what are your philosophical arguments? And I kind of, I don't know what to do about that. I don't know if it's too late or if we're going to discuss this with the next council or not. I don't know how you guys are going to vote, but I hope you vote no.